The Labour government once again has been caught out operating under a two-tier justice system. Yesterday, the Sentencing Council announced the new guidelines which are set to be implemented on the 1st of April this year. They say that a pre-sentence report will normally be considered necessary if the offender belongs to one or more of the following cohorts. This includes people from an ethnic minority, cultural minority, and/or faith minority community, and, funnily enough, if you have disclosed that you are trans. This means that people who are from these groups perhaps will be receiving more lenient sentences for committing the same crime as anyone else, who might then receive a harsher sentence. Robert Jenrick put this to Shabana Mahmood today, and he said this.
Turning to the new sentencing guidelines that's been published alongside this statement, which will make a custodial sentence less likely for, and I quote, ethnic minorities, cultural minorities, and faith minority communities. Why is the Justice Secretary enshrining this double standard, this two-tier approach to sentencing? This is an inversion of the rule of law. We on this side of the House believe in equality under the law. Why doesn't she?
Now, this was Shabana Mahmood's response to Robert Jenrick in the House of Commons yesterday.
And then let me just say finally, as somebody who's of an ethnic minority background myself, I do not stand for any differential treatment before the law for anyone of any kind, and there will never be a two-tier sentencing approach under my watch or under this Labour government.
Fantastic. So the Justice Secretary says that she is going to write to the Sentencing Council to register her displeasure and to recommend reversing this change to guidance. As she said, as someone who is from an ethnic minority background myself, I do not stand for any differential treatment before the law for anyone of any kind. There will never be a two-tier sentencing approach under my watch. However, it turns out that apparently at the meeting where these guidelines were finalised, the government spokesperson or representative did not offer any objections when it came to these categories of people that would be entitled to a pre-sentence report. So it very much seems like the government are only backtracking because they've been caught out for not doing anything to stop this two-tier justice, because it's the most, as Robert Jenrick said, it's the most blatant example. It's written in black and white. If you're from a certain background, that you may be entitled to a more lenient sentence simply because of your background. But the issue is that even if Shabana Mahmood goes back to the Sentencing Council and asks them to reverse this guidance, ultimately, the Sentencing Council is entirely entitled to ignore this because they are independent, separate from Parliament. And therefore, the only option is that the government rush through legislation to overrule the council, no doubt facing down outrage from the legal establishment and anti-discrimination campaigners to do so. Alternatively, they allow the guidance to take effect, facing accusations from the Conservatives that they are not willing to do everything possible to stop something they themselves have described as two-tier. This is the point even Labour can see. How could they deny that this is two-tier justice? And you may wonder, well, where did this all start? Like many things that's going wrong under the Labour government, of course, it was the Conservative Party's fault. I mean, it is partially true in the sense that, in this case, these guidelines were established or began being established when the Tories were in power last year. And Lucy Powell, the leader of the House of Commons, has defended the government with this argument that Robert Jenrick and everyone else should be attacking the previous government for even allowing these discussions to take place in the beginning. Lucy Powell says that the sentencing guidelines were consulted under the previous Conservative government. They were not ruled out. They were developed and consulted under the Conservative government. The current Justice Secretary, the remarkable and formidable Justice Secretary, has made absolutely clear her position on that, and she's written to the Sentencing Council, who have every right to ignore her on this case. So it then goes back to, why didn't the government say something to stop the Sentencing Council from making this decision? It very much seems like they are just backtracking because they've been called out. There are, of course, arguments to defend the fact that some people will be entitled to a pre-sentence report. For example, if you are from a difficult or troubled background, perhaps they should be taken into consideration when you are being sentenced for a crime. However, surely everyone should be entitled to a pre-sentence report. The only group of people who are not listed on the list are white men. If you're going to do pre-sentence reports for anyone, it should be for everyone. And that's another argument that, oh, well, we simply just don't have the time to do a pre-sentence report for everyone. But the answer then isn't to then give them to only certain people and not others. You either do it for everyone or you don't do it for anyone at all. And I'd just like to leave you with this. that the president of the Sentencing Council happens to be Baroness Carr. Now, she is the same judge that said that it was inappropriate for Keir Starmer and Kemi Badenoch to be criticising the rulings of the court after Gazans were given the right to settle in the UK through the Ukrainian refugee scheme. Is it a coincidence? I'm not sure. Let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Connie Shaw. Please subscribe to Reason if you haven't already, and we'll see you next time.